So, today's topic for discussion is a journey towards Enterprise Agile Coach. I know we have seasoned Agile coaches in the group, and like Rahul, I'm not sure whether Manju joined or not. So all of people are very seasoned people, and you all also come with different experience and different passion and things like that. So I'm happy to be here. I hope I will be able to do justice for the next 45 to 50 minutes with you to help you to understand what exactly this enterprise agile coach, and then see the thoughts and how we can improve. And as we see in the picture, how do we move from one end to another to improve in our journey. Thank you. So, today's topic, what we are trying to cover is understanding enterprise agile coach or enterprise coaching for agility. Let's try to explore what are the skills and competencies needed for an enterprise agile coach, and where do we stand at this point of time. And let's also look at the domain of enterprise coaching and what challenges we see in the enterprise coaching. And I would like to take to a Q&A finally at the end of the time. And in case if you want to ask any question, you can just end of the slide in a logical way. You can stop me and ask me the questions. All right. Thank you. So, moving on to enterprise agile coaching, what what is that impact you see? You see the picture over here on the right? It's very much resembling in today's world because a lot of houses, a lot of building, a lot of lights, everything. So similarly, let me just ask you one question. What impact do you see when in your city the population increases? What are the things? Can you just think through? Can you give me one or two points?
Traffic jam, congestion, water shortage.
Yes,
Schools, health, care, pollution.
yes, yes.
Lot of opportunities opens.
Lot of?
Opportunities get opened when we have more people in a city. Lot of
Okay,
opportunities, lot of growth.
okay, okay,
I also see a fight of scarce resources.
okay. Scarce resources. Then any other points?
Chaos.
Chaos.
Complexity,
Complexity in?
in terms of resources, many things.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So all of you have some way or other answered when a population increase, we will have scarcity of resources, we will have traffic jam, we will have conjunction, we will have problems related to resources like water, many things like staying the facilities, in terms of power, in terms of even waste management. Lot of hurdles are there, right? So similarly, any organization that grows will have similar problem. And in today's world, and it is even more difficult. So how do you relate the similar complexity or the impact when a population of the city like what you have seen now, how can it relate to the business agility in an organization level? Can you just throw some lights or some points over there? You are very right in terms of the city population. So similarly, in an organization, what happens when
Like
organization
Uh,
wants to scale?
we need to keep finding solutions so that scalability should be addressed properly. And if any challenges are coming, then overcoming that, we need to keep on finding the solutions for that.
Viji, this is where I look at in a different way. When an organization is growing or a city is growing, you are having more manpower, more power to you to bring more solutions and also growth.
Okay.
Yes, there is a little bit of chaos will be there, but then all this chaos leads to growth because you find a better solution for solving that chaos.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
It might also bring in hindrances because the more people will have, that means they will have more touch points, more data flow would happen. So it might delay your time to market.
Yes. It can impede the flow because a lot of touch points. Yes. A lot of handoffs. Then any other thoughts? How about the system? How about the resources what we talked about? How about the facilities we have? How about the technology challenges? How about the tools or how to train the people who are joining the organization? When organization become large enough, how do we govern the organization? How do we align the people? How do we manage the culture? Don't you feel so? All these are a challenge. Like what in
Yes.
a city? Of course, there are positives also, as Kalyani and Srikanth was talking about. Any other? So, at organization level, also we need to handle all these things. So, let me see at enterprise level, when you talk about, there are quite a lot of challenges for impacting when you are scaling in a large scale. Similarly, at the market level, we are in a very volatile world, in a complex world we are. For example, today's scenario, the present scenario we are going through. Initially, we were hit by COVID. We never thought we could do a digital coaching. We never thought we can hooked onto the laptop and sit in some place and do the coaching or the training. We were all in a different mode, but we learned over a period of time. We inspected and we adapted. Now look at the scenario, how the vaccine is getting ready. How can we make the vaccine reach at every part of the world? Isn't it a challenge at a scale? So anything scaling will have its impact, will have its challenges. So does the organization also, right? So how can we understand? So an enterprise coach, when you are going through all these challenges, it is very important role as an enterprise coach. How do we manage these challenges? How do we overcome these challenges and align the people and channelize the flow and bring business agility to the organization, right? Let's try to understand what is the enterprise coach for agility. You share my screen with Polly. You can start putting your response. So think about after having understood the complexity and the scaling challenges, what is your understanding about enterprise agile coaching or enterprise coaching? Are you able to go to the poll? Okay, scalable solution. I'm seeing comments coming in. Bring the organization to agility, developing leadership, all departments, covering all departments. Yes. Positively impacts ways of working of organization, working with leadership to create strategy and coach the leadership to achieve Organization's vision. Yes, yes, good thoughts. Any- Anybody has any clarification on these comments that we are here? All are correct. So, enterprise coaching talks about leadership at a large. How do we scale and what impact we can create at the scaling level? And how can we manage, how can we develop leaders in the organization, right? So, moving on to the next slide,
Yeah.
there are different levels of coaching. The coaching starts from a team facilitator level, where facilitator or the coach practices and collaborates with few teams or one or more teams. Whereas an agile coach at a program level or at a higher level develops teams, mentors, even advises middle level managers. And at enterprise level, the main focus is on leader, the culture, catalyze change, and it covers, as we rightly saw, multiple departments, all departments at a large level. It's at a portfolio level, right? So that are the levels of coaching. And our point of discussion is enterprise coach, which is which other agile coach flavors and the team facilitators are all subset of this, right? So enterprise coaching domains, if you look at, there are many. There are predominantly 8 domains. One is organization culture. How do we influence the culture? We cannot generate a culture, but we can only influence the culture to inculcate new habits, right? So how do we design the organization architecture? How do we design the structure of the organization? And most importantly, as an enterprise coach, you should look almost towards the last to change the structure. But we look at the culture part, we look at the technical practices part, we look at the policies and what are the procedures we are following across organization. And predominantly we have to start with the why. What are the business goals for the change? And how and what is the level of leadership maturity for us? And what is the organization readiness to achieve or to imbibe these changes? And how do we bring alignment in the business across the leadership, across this departments, across the people or the portfolios, and bring agility towards that? These are the main domains if you look at in an enterprise coaching. Any doubts or clarifications over here? Okay, so when we are moving on to the next, what is the skill needed for an enterprise coach? What are the skills? Any enterprise coach should have the first, even for that matter, any leader. I consider enterprise coach as also a leader. And the most important skill needed for an enterprise coach or a leader is listening. The listening skill is very much important. If you are into a selective listening mode, or if you are not concentrating on your listen to allow others to talk to you, that will be very disastrous. So you always have to listen to the people, listen to the system, listen to the culture, listen to the relationship across what is happening, and that itself will create an empathy within. An empathy and compassion. Empathy to people, compassion to the system and its relationship. And the people, of course, to the people also, but look at as a system, and then have a compassionate way of approaching every acts or every practice that we follow. Be assertive at the same time. When you say empathy, it should also be uh, hand in hand. It should go with assertiveness, where you need to tap your assertiveness and then be firm on your decisions. But also, you need to have lots of patience, because you are dealing with leadership, you are dealing with organization culture, you are developing people, and it is not easy. right? So it takes a lot of time, but you have a very big goal to achieve. But at the same time, you need to show patience to change the mindset of people and influence them. And look at everything from a system point of view. That's most important. Organization as a system, in terms of communication, in terms of flow, in terms of how the people behavior, how are the group dynamics working, what are the new habits, look at in all angles from the system, and what are the bottlenecks we can remove across the organization, what are the barriers for that, and always do have conceptual and practical thinking. How do we inculcate conceptual and practical thinking? Depending on the problem, depending on the challenge we are facing, we need to look at from different ways, mode of thinking which we have. If the problem is very known to us, you can definitely look at to the lean thinking. If the problem and solution is also known to us, but if you don't know the problem, if you don't know the solution, you need to develop a different way of thinking. For example, we have heard about design thinking, lateral thinking, conceptual thinking, practical thinking. Look at from all concepts and the practical, how it can improve. And any enterprise coach is also a management consultant. You need to be having high awareness how to solve a problem, how to approach a problem solving mechanism, and facilitate and drive change management across organization. You need to know who are the influencers, whom you can influence, how to create a guiding coalition, how to create an alliance in various along with various leaders, and how do we communicate and when do we communicate and how and whom we should communicate. We should definitely have a strategy for communication. And how that interpersonal skill, how can you tap how can you tap the mindset of the people, how can you influence the people mindset and the behavior, and then have a rapport, have a personal touch or an empathical way of thinking with the people, and how do you engage the leadership. And interpersonal skills is very much important when you are dealing with the people and also with the leadership. How do you engage the leadership? How do you engage your people? How do you manage the stakeholders? Many of the time we fail over here. And how, with all these instances, how do you manage? How do you execute? How do you govern? And you should also have a business acumen apart from all these things, right? These are the critical minimum skills needed for an enterprise level coach. Any clarifications over here? Or we can move on to the next slide. It's very straightforward, but knowingly or unknowingly, we have to develop these skills at every point of time. We have to listen to us whether are we demonstrating these skills as an enterprise coach. Now, we often talk about agile coach and enterprise agile coach. What's exactly the difference between these two? An agile coach focus on scrum masters, mid-level managers and team. Whom do enterprise agile coach focuses on? Focus on coaching executives, leaders, directors, VPs and CXOs. Leadership development is main focus in enterprise agile coach and organization culture. Also, enterprise agile coach work towards cross team collaboration and also participate in organizational management along with enterprise coach, whereas enterprise coach works towards business agility at organization level, leads organization culture. It's enterprise agile coach who really can bring that alliance across organization to build the culture, to build the new ways of working and the right mindset in the organization, and architecture change management, an approach for the change management in the organization. Also, an agile coach facilitates a lot of events like big room planning, program level planning, PI planning, etc. We have heard about from safe parlance, etc. Why do enterprise agile coach? Enterprise Agile Coach facilitate organization level events to change management related to conducting executive level workshop. Even sometimes we may have to reach out to the board of directors, or we may have to sit with them. We may have to have our governance mechanism and how the change is progressing along with the chairman or many other roles in the organization. So you need to develop those skills, whatever we are talking about in the earlier slide. And Enterprise Agile Coach aligns, coordinates Scrum Masters and mid-level manager, whereas Coach align and facilitate executive leadership and several other departments towards the organization level goal or the business agility. Any other thoughts? Any clarifications over here you have?
Viji, one question on the second point for the Enterprise Agile Coach.
Yes.
What would be Enterprise Agile Coach role in the architecture change management?
Architecture of change management. How do you approach the change management in an organization? And what needs to be changed at the organization? At what time it needs to be changed? Or maybe the designing the change management, the approach of the change management itself across departments. His role is not just to a team or a small level group or a department level. Rather, Enterprise Agile Coach role is towards at the organization at large. So he really need to have an approach and architect a roadmap for its change management itself. Did I answer your point?
Okay, yeah.
Any other clarification? Can we move on? Okay, thank you. So where do we start? We have to start from us. Know yourself first. Where do we stand in these roles? Are we really capable of handling these complexities at organization? What is our knowledge on agile in practices? What is our knowledge on change management, engaging leadership? How do we develop a coaching mindset in the leadership? What are the tools needed? How do we serve the team? And how do we serve the organization? How do we build a culture across organization? How do we create an environment? How do we influence the policies? How do we create throughout an agile mindset across departments? How do we scale these changes across all levels at organization, all people, all roles at organization? And in turn, develop the organization and make the organization ready for the next level. So I would like you to take, if you can, 2 minutes, think from your uh, side, try to imbibe what we have discussed at this point of time. I hope you will have some notepads or pen or anything, or even your mobile or whatever you have. Think through and identify in our discussion which are the areas you feel that you want to develop. Take a minute, pause, reflect yourself, and note it down.
One point came to my mind on the working with the leaders, right? Facilitating and from from scrum masters and product owners. I need to work on the expertise to how do I work with the leaders and the executives. That's what I should be focusing on.
Thanks, Rahul. Thanks. Anybody else want to share?
Yes, Vijay. And I found my area as managing the engagement, because once the engagement has been established, we somewhere lose it. So I would like to focus on that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, agile coaching competency, if you look at, it's multifaceted. The main focus, though, on coaching and facilitating, mentoring and teaching, we also need to have technical mastery. We also need to have business mastery and transformation mastery. At the same time, we need to be a lean agile practitioner to inculcate the change, the mindset, the people change through agile and through agile values. And you yourself have to show or become a role model for others to and others to follow you. So that is very important as any enterprise agile coach. You really need to show, become the role model for the entire organization. And you also need to develop these masteries in your career, in your development. So, first, start from you, as I said earlier, identify the gaps, identify where you have to improve, and that itself is a great step in what you are doing, right? So, moving to the next. And second, once you know yourself, you also need to listen to your organization. You also need to listen to your organization systems. The build a system thinking aspect in understanding where your organization is standing. Conduct an organizational assessment and see what are the gaps organization have to reach that stage where we are talking about the business goal, developing the business goal, and why the organization is making this change. And there are quite a lot tools available as I have shown in my deck. This is something like agility radar, team level, and organization level. There are enterprise level radars are available. You can utilize this and then do the assessment, or sometimes at organization level, you yourself have to create some questionnaire and conduct the assessment. So, that is another important aspect which you will look into how you can improve. Going further, you will come to know a lot of challenges and impediments in your journey. For example, even the current journey itself, what we are doing, you would have come across a lot of challenges. I would say take a minute, 2 minutes, go to the poll eve is the uh, same link, and I would request you to provide your input. What are the challenges you are seeing in your organization or at your current level in terms of your uh, business agility or your journey towards transformation? How are you trying to achieve it? Just I'm waiting for the response. Breaking silos. Yes. Management focuses on doing agile versus being agile. Yes, that is an impediment. Convincing product owners for taking product feature agile wise. Traditional mindset. Yes. Still attributing to failure to people not able to move further, understand failure as a learning, etc., as part of traditional mindset. CTO not aligned to an agile mindset, which means leadership is not aligned to agile mindset. Focuses on utilization of resources rather than value delivered. Yeah, many a time we look for that in the traditional mindset. Good. I'm seeing that you are all going through a lot of challenges in your areas. How do we overcome these challenges? Let's see. Let me share my screen again. How do we manage these changes? You really need to have a approach for making these changes. How can you bring most of the challenges you have shown us come from the mindset or the culture issue. So in an organization, what steps we follow is like, as Levins talk about, unfreeze, change, and refreeze. Means you identify the state which you want to go from current to future. Once you identify your current future state, you try to assess and find out the gap, involve the people and leadership to move towards the new state or the future state, and for which you implement changes, look for continual improvement, and once change is institutionalized, you celebrate success. That is a time you are moving from unfreeze to freeze, going through a change. And once you have refreezed, there you understand, I still have to go further. My new state or new future state have been identified. Again, what happens? You unfreeze and you go through again the change, and you again come back. You adopt new ways of working, and you refreeze over here. And this cycle continues in an organization. And how do we go by this cycle? There are quite a lot of ways to go for us. There are solid approaches we have to go. First and foremost, any systemic issues, coach people. For example, as a picture says, elephant is not tied to a rope just because that it can't break the rope. It is a belief that the elephant has that it cannot break the rope. That is mindset. And we, as enterprise agile coaches or agile coaches, have to inculcate that mindset. We talk about agile mindset, growth mindset, a lot of things we talk about. And we have to drive the change. And how do we start? From within. And what is that within? We have certain uh, courses material available. We can build expertise through courses like coaching agile transitions, enterprise transformation changes, and that is a step for us to improve to our next journey, for us to improve, and for us to improve the organization where we are within. And there are quite a lot of um, topics available through this to understand, improve our um, professional and personal mastery to overcome and help the leaders of organization and the managers and the people and the organization as a whole to achieve the business agility or the outcome that we are designing for or that we are aiming for. So what all topics you go through in this? Develop a business case for change. How do we use various models and frameworks to approach the transformation? How do we assess and create a roadmap for performance? How do we influence the organizational mindset? How do we create, communicate, and educate the change within the organization? How do we align people across? And what tools, what support we need? What are the case studies available? And as an individual, how do we go into the path of development of ourselves towards an enterprise agile coach journey, right? So there are quite a lot of topics available in this subject, and these two programs which we have as workshop, it's designed based on the case studies and designed based on our deep experiences that we have, like what Rahul was talking about earlier. So, a lot of thoughts, a lot of journey, a lot of case studies are available on this. Any clarifications, whatever subjects we have talked about in terms of impediments, in terms of uh, the domains, in terms of the how to tackle the changes, etc. Please let's take another 2 minutes to listen to you and any question and answers at this time.
What are the prerequisites required to attend these workshops?
Yes, you have any prior experience in Agile, any prior experience of as an Agile practitioner. That's one thing. Because as I said, the levels of changing coming in the initial slide as I shown. That's one of the important thing. You need to understand how an agile coach performs, and then moving to the enterprise agile coach. So those understanding of agile and lean practices, and you being a practitioner in your organization is one important thing.
So for one question from my side, so for bringing the change, right? You talked about one model here. Are you also suggesting that we should have a community of practice or something related to build the community to take up the
Tho-
change?
those are all the approaches that we take for the changes within the organization, depending on the organization context. First, you need to understand where you are in the organization. There are quite a lot of changes, case studies available from our experience itself. So we need to look at how that organization, where do the organization stands, and what the organization want to achieve, and then design an approach, as I said earlier, towards moving towards a change, and then use a model. But this is a continuous journey, and that is very important. That's what I try to bring in, that concept of Levin's model. It goes on because today you have achieved one point organization, and even for us also individually, if you look at in our career also, we never stopped, right? We, from where we are, we moved on to the from our career perspective. Similarly, organization also moves on, but at every point of time where we want to go from today to the future state, we design that and we try to march on that, and we learn during this journey of change, and then move on. That is how we have to look at.
Okay, thanks, Viji.
Any other questions? So if any of you are interested, please do reach out to any of us for the sessions. So we will be able to help you on this. And yeah, reach out to Rahul or me or Vijay, Sonam, who are all there in this call. We can help you out on that. And I hope you have understood what exactly a gist of enterprise coaching and what's the preparation needed for this to become an enterprise agile coach. Many of you uh, may be playing a role at your portfolio level or at your organization level, at a leadership level for the changes. So it's very important that you harness this change, you understand, you develop this competency for your future. And as I said, enterprise agile coach itself is a leader. So we have to develop these competencies and understand various organization when we go through how to manage these changes and how to develop the mindset and the culture across organization towards business agility. Any questions? That's all at this time from my side. Any clarifications, questions, any doubts, we can answer. I think we are on dot on time.
Hi Vijay, this is Sunil here.
Yes, Sunil.
I had some questions on the certifications.
Yes,
So I believe you have shared one which is from IC Agile, right?
yes.
Yeah, and I see that the Scrum Alliance also has something on enterprise coaching or agile leadership. And I see that there is some certification related to management 3.0. So, like, so if a person who is maybe has been for a kind of an agile coach or in that similar position for quite some time, and if that person wants to kind of aspire to an enterprise coach, uh, is there like a sequence of things that we should think of, or how what's your guidance on that?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Sunil, for bringing this point. So, if you look at a agile coach moving towards an enterprise agile coach, there are quite a lot of things available. But if you look at the comprehensive guide from ASI Agile in terms of uh, how do we develop or organize and govern and then approach this transition, it's very clearly articulated, or the learning objectives from IC Agile is it's a ready reckoner for us from this course to take it and implement. That's one part. And you asked about Management 3.0. Management 3.0 is, there are quite a lot of facilitation techniques from Management 3.0 we can adopt. If you look at in the course itself, I understand that we have designed in such a way that many of these techniques, if any organization you are into, how to, based on the various case studies that has been developed, we can understand how to approach this, how to go about in your organization, and a lot of content in terms of how you want to approach this in your context and your thing. You can really adapt to that and the way the course is designed. Sunil, from the ICP CAT and ENT per se.
Okay.